Frank, who do you think will win the Premier League this season?
Chelsea. Can I give you the reason?
Yeah.
I think Chelsea, if they carry on where they left off last year, but Manchester City are going to push them close. It'll be between those two. I'm just worried Manchester City, whether it will all come together. They've got the best attacking options, I think, in the league. But for me, I'm going to stick with Chelsea.
Which two big clubs do you think will miss out on the top four?
I think Arsenal and Liverpool will miss out. Very impressed with Tottenham last year. They've got the problems of Wembley Stadium, whether they can conquer that will be tough. But I just think Chelsea, Manchester City, Manchester United, I really fancy be top three. Arsenal and Liverpool, I think, would still need to add to their squads in the last couple of weeks of the window to get them elevated up there.
Have you got an early shout for the Premier League's top scorer this season?
Harry Kane. It's a boring answer because he's been there now twice, but I think he's so prolific. If he stays fit, I think he's just going to score so many goals, and he's always going to start for Tottenham. He's their mainland striker. I think other teams have players that might be rotated slightly. Harry Kane's the man there.
And again, very early, but a potential player of the season or someone you're really looking forward to seeing this season?
Potential player of the season. I'll tell you, I'd love to see win it is David Silva at Manchester City. I think he's such a great player since he's been playing in the Premier League. Always kind of goes slightly unnoticed, I feel, because of the way he is. He doesn't court publicity, etc. And I would love to see him get the recognition of being a player of the year.
Who do you think might go down this season?
I think it'll be very tough for the teams that come up, particularly Brighton and Huddersfield. I think they're going to struggle. On top of that, maybe Burnley, I would say.
Best signing of the summer so far?
Bernardo Silva. I think he early business from Manchester City. Very impressive player with Monaco last year in the Champions League. And his price, which might have seemed quite expensive at the start of the summer, seems quite cheap by the end of the summer, and I think a very talented player. It'll be where they fit him in there, but I think he's exciting to watch.
Is there a young player you're particularly looking forward to seeing more of that you think might have a breakthrough campaign?
Loftus-Cheek, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. I know him pretty well. Very keen on him to do well because he's been, talked about a lot over the last 2 or 3 years. Hasn't had his opportunity at Chelsea. Now he's got his opportunity to show what he can do at Crystal Palace. I'd love to see him do well.
Who do you think will win the Champions League this season? And if it's not an English team, who do you think will go the furthest?
I think Real Madrid will win it again. And the Champions League is so hard to call because the standard is so high, especially when you get to the second stage. But Real Madrid, for me, are the team to beat. They're outstanding throughout midfield, the attacking options they have, defensively, so that brilliant. And I think they're the team to beat. In terms of the English teams, when you talk about squad size and options, I think Manchester City, again, have big squads so they can cope with the league and the Champions League, and they also have a lot of those creative players, which I think in the Champions League you need creative players who can make something happen out of nothing to win close games, and I think City have got that this year.
Were you surprised by Neymar's move to PSG, and do you think it'll be a success?
I was surprised by Neymar moving now. I understand the reasons. I think probably for Neymar, he's playing with the best player in the world for me, alongside Ronaldo, if not in history, again alongside Ronaldo. Suarez, I think at PSG creates his own thing, and I think they're a very strong team, but I think he will be the superstar there. So I do understand the move. He'll be a huge success there because he's an absolute top quality player, and he'll bring Paris Saint-Germain up as a club generally. So I understand it, and I think it's great because it's great to see so many top teams in the Champions League, and Neymar moving to Paris has just kind of changed the balance slightly, and it'd be great to see what they do next year.
Great. One goalkeeper and 4 outfield players. Who would you have in your all-time Premier League 5-a-side team?
I want to go Chelsea all the way, aren't I? I want to go Peter Cech, top clean sheets in Premier League history. John Terry, close call with Rio Ferdinand. I think the 2 best centre halves in Premier League history. I played with John for so long. This is Premier League all time. Cristiano Ronaldo, Didier Drogba, and Frank Lampard.
Brilliant. Just a couple of would you rather questions. Would you rather sign Mohamed Salah or Alexandre Lacazette?
I think they're both good signings, but I think Lacazette, for me, purely because I think Arsenal need that out-and-out goal scorer, and he seems to have that. His record in the last few years, scoring lots of goals, sharp, box player, scores goals. If he can create those numbers for Arsenal, then they will maybe be pushing for top 4. So I think it depends a lot on him this season, but Salah will be a great signing for Liverpool too.
Would you rather spend £200 million on new players every summer or bring through academy products?
It's unfortunate, but I'm going to say £200 million. I mean, in the modern day, the manager's shelf life is very short. And if you're a fan, you want success, you want to win. The balance would be great, but if you give me the choice, you want your club to be at the top, then you have to spend the money in the modern market.
If you were still playing, would you rather play for Jurgen Klopp or Antonio Conte?
Both great managers. I have to say Conte, obviously being very close to Chelsea, I was close to them last year, watched them training sessions, watched him on the touchline, loved his passion and what he did to take Chelsea from 11th the year before with lots of problems to title winners by some distance is one of the most incredible achievements in modern day Premier League football, probably slightly just behind Ranieri, what he did at Leicester. Klopp's a great manager too, and it'd be an honour to play for him, but Conte, for what he did last year, wins it for me.
Great. Would you rather win the treble of the Premier League, Champions League and FA Cup, or win the World Cup on penalties?
I'm going to say the World Cup on penalties because I've won the others, albeit not in a treble, and they're fantastic. I would, you know what? If I hadn't won anything, I would say when you play for a club, you get that real feeling, and you kind of want to win things with them. You're every day, every week, fans, etc. But having not won anything with England in my career, it would have been fantastic to win a World Cup on penalties and come home and see the public reaction. Would
you rather have in your team Celtic's Moussa Dembélé, Tottenham's Moussa Dembélé, or Dortmund's Ousmane Dembélé?
I'm going to go Ousmane Dembélé. I hope I pronounced that right. I think Dembélé at Celtic is a fantastic prospect. No disrespect, but he needs to show that at some stage later on in his career. I'm sure he will do in the Premier League or in another top league in Europe. Dembélé at Tottenham, of course, is a fantastic player and been very impressive in the last couple of years. Coming towards his 30s, Ousmane Dembélé, young player, very, very exciting in Dortmund last year. Talk of a big move to Barcelona. So I think him.
And just last one, based on the Neymar transfer, would you rather score 40 goals in the French league or 20 goals in the Spanish league?
I'm going to say 40 goals in the French league. I'm a numbers man. I used to love scoring goals, and albeit the Liga would be seen to be the stronger of the leagues, the idea of scoring 40 goals in a season for me is too much. Some players can score 20 goals, and that sounds a bit like cocky, but it does happen. But 40 goals is where the special players end up.
Brilliant. Thanks very much.
Brilliant.
Cheers,
right,
Frank.
Thank
nice
you.
One.
Cheers. Thanks very much. Cheers.